Sparks was founded in August 2007. Sparks, serving pre- and postnatal women and families with awareness, relief, knowledge, and support. 800,000 women a year are diagnosed with perinatal disorders in the United States. That's 1 out of 8 young women and mothers. It can be devastating and life-threatening, not only for the mother, but for the infant, who is a second primary victim, and for the entire family. It is a serious hormonal as well as a physical illness that deserves a lot more recognition than it receives. Our mission here at Sparks is that no women should feel alone, isolated, hopeless, and helpless. That no husband should think, will I ever have my wife and my family back? Will I ever have a home? Because right now, I can't even call this a house. That no child should ever wonder, will my mother ever smile again? What did I do so wrong that my mother is so angry with me? If you or anyone you know suffers any kind of perinatal depression or disorder, don't suffer alone. Call Sparks. We are here to help you.
PPD, or postpartum depression, is an all too common illness that's affecting perhaps millions of women across America. It's a growing epidemic that not only includes depression, it also includes anxiety and fatigue and numerous other symptoms, sometimes even psychosis. It's a disease that can be cured. We now know that having a child is a great act of self-sacrifice. The nutrients, the foods that a woman digests and absorbs preferentially goes to the fetus. So in our day and age, when we're nutritionally depleted, when we're overwhelmed with environmental toxins leading to functional deficits, these deficiencies are beginning to express themselves. And one form of their expression, unfortunately, is postpartum depression and postpartum illness. With the development of functional medicine, we now know how to test for various deficiencies and which nutrients and natural compounds each woman needs that's unique to her biochemistry, so that we can restore neurological function, that we can restore overall body function. I've treated many women with postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety and fatigue that have come from Sparks, and I've seen the miraculous success. I've seen these women come in with significant depression, with no connection to their baby. I've seen within a short period of time that smiles came back on these women's faces and the connection was restored between the mother and her child. Because I know that we can help women suffering from this disorder, gives me the incentive and gives Sparks the incentive and the desire to reach out to every single woman who's suffering with postpartum depression. And this is why I'm so proud to be part of such a growing and important organization.
Hi, I'm Rifki, and I'm a mother and a grandmother. And I'm here to tell you what suffering from postpartum depression is, and matter of fact, any kind of depression and anxiety. It's a very, very real and painful experience which people tend to take very lightly, especially when it's a hormonal imbalance. Even the doctors don't take you seriously, thinking that it'll just go away once the pregnancy and birth is over. And actually they have a statistic saying that it's 1 out of 8 moms that suffer from it. And unfortunately, I was one of them. I was in a very, very dark place. Many times contemplating suicide. The pain was so unbearable that I just couldn't see a way out.
After the birth of my son 3 years ago, I thought that I would be ecstatic, happy, enjoying my sweet baby. And instead I felt intense anxiety. I felt I was trapped in my mind. My friends called saying how I was. I didn't answer the phone. I didn't go outside. I was anxious about his sleeping schedule and his eating schedule. And it's too late and I can't go outside. And I ended up feeling trapped in my mind. And honestly, in retrospect, I should have said something at that point. But, you know, I'm a new mom, so things can happen. But then it escalated into something very tough and severe. I ended up being hospitalized for 8 days because I was a wreck. I felt like giving up. I felt like giving up on everything. And really, no one should go through this.
After my wife Rivki had given birth to our youngest, she's been suffering and become very depressed. And it went worse from day to day. And I was at a loss. You know, I would go out, try to, go out to restaurants, try to buy her gifts, do everything that a husband would try to cheer up a wife, especially after giving birth. And things went from bad to worse, and we just didn't know, we were at a loss what to do.
When things escalated and my wife was hospitalized, you can imagine what I was going through. I just was married a year and a half ago. Before that, I didn't know what was happening. I thought I lost my wife forever. I didn't know, I couldn't make sense of what was happening with her whole situation.
Until one day I shared some of my pain with a neighbor, and luckily she had just come from a Sparks awareness meeting and she understood what I was talking about. So she suggested I give them a call. She gave me their number, and I held on to the number for quite a while thinking that this will just go away. Until one night I felt so overwhelmed with a screaming infant in my hand. I just thought I'm losing it forever. I picked up the phone and dialed to Sparks. As soon as this wonderful woman named Esther picked up the hotline, I felt heard and understood for the first time. At the time of confusion, I wasn't myself, but we were in touch with a woman who is actually the clinical supervisor of Sparks. And my husband called her trying to figure out what we should do. And she gave us the numbers to the right people, and they gave us the numbers to the right doctors. And they started to help me get my life back on track. They held my hand, they answered my questions, they gave us emotional support. I felt like we weren't alone. We had someone guiding us.
And we discovered Sparks, this organization that helps women after they give birth. And then we discovered that it's postpartum depression and that it's a pretty common thing. And Sparks was there for us to guide us on what to do and where to go for help. And then we found out that Sparks also helps other families that may not have the means, like we did, to get the help that's necessary.
We're very grateful to Sparks for being there throughout this entire difficult ordeal. And the message that they gave me as a husband was that the more support I give my wife throughout this time, the sooner she will heal. And until that point, they'll always be there for you.
Luckily, we were financially okay, and we didn't have a problem with paying for the therapy and all the other healing options that they suggested. But can you imagine women that go through this and they don't have a way of paying for it? That's where Sparks comes in. They're there to guide and support and even pay for people who can't afford. And I don't have to tell anyone that when a mother is not functioning, the whole house just falls apart.
PPD, postpartum depression, is very healable. It's not a life-term illness. The sooner that a person speaks out, the sooner the healing can start, the sooner they can get their life back on track. And Sparks is there for that reason. They're there to help, they're there to hold your hand, and I'm grateful to them.
Several years ago, I came across an article in the paper that a woman by the name of Esther Konigsberg was starting a project for helping women with postpartum disorders. Having been in psychiatric practice for many years, and having seen the devastation that results when this condition is not recognized, and the suffering that the mother goes through, that there is inadequate bonding between the mother and the infant, which is so tremendously important, the suffering that the family goes through, the other children, because the mother cannot be there for them. Right? And I decided that I would do whatever I could to help Sparks bring its message to the public, and also whatever I could to see that its services are promoted. Now, postpartum disorder is primarily a biological condition due to the fact that the change from pregnancy to after delivery causes an entire upheaval in the physical biochemical system of the mother. And this can cause an effect on the emotions, to cause irritability, depression, despair, and sometimes even delusions. This is a condition that must be treated early, because I mentioned that the importance of the bonding of the infant and the mother should not be delayed. And so delaying it and looking for other causes and failing to address it properly is a serious mistake. And so I have tried to help Sparks spread the education and the awareness in the community that this is a condition that should be identified early and promptly treated, and Sparks has the ability to provide the treatment with an excellent staff of doctors, psychologists, social workers, nurses, and recourse to people, to women who have had the problem before and have overcome it, to be able to be sources of assurance to the new mother. I believe that helping Sparks to do its holy work is one of the greatest mitzvahs that we can have. And I strongly urge you to do whatever within your power to support Sparks in whichever way possible.
So I'd like to thank Sparks for being there and guiding us throughout this very difficult ordeal, which means the survival of a family, because in many situations people just give up and families collapse and children are affected and everybody around them is affected. So thank you, Sparks, for being there and saving our family.